In this video, we're going to talk about probation, parole, and all the sanctions that are not necessarily prison or jail time. For example, there are certainly a lot of offenders that just get probation. And certainly, there's a lot of offenders that when they leave jail or prison, they get put on probation or put on what's called parole, which is essentially handled by the same people in the state of Wisconsin. Probation and parole is kind of a monitored community setting where you're living in the city or town or village or wherever you live, but you're being monitored by a someone that works for law enforcement, someone that works with law enforcement, and it's basically it gets more people out there transitioning into the community. It gets costs down because you don't have to house them or feed them or anything, and it can be beneficial in a lot of ways in trying to transition people back into um, the community. And you're being monitored, so you have someone that can help you out with maybe helping you get a job, or maybe helping you with keeping you off of drugs, maybe helping you with monitoring you and making sure you're not falling into a poor path. And really, the court can set a lot of restrictions. Those that are maybe sex offenders have a lot of restrictions about where they can be in town. You could also have restrictions about having alcohol or not. And in fact, you can have monitors put on you that can test you for alcohol throughout the day and then report back to their probation officer. And if you violate your probation, you get sent back to jail. So the conditions that are standard are often just reporting back to your officer. And oftentimes you'll have to meet with your probation officer once or twice a week. Sometimes people have to meet with them even more. And certainly you can add to this, there can be more punitive offenses or more punitive conditions. For example, someone could be put on complete house arrest, where they have to stay within their house through all hours of the day. They could have an ankle monitor that could ensure that they stay in that house. In fact, some people have two ankle monitors because they've been kind of so crafty in trying to get around them. You could have drug testing. You could have alcohol testing. You could have alcohol monitors that you have to carry around with you and that take your photo to guarantee that it's you taking the alcohol monitor. You could have required community service built into your probation. And on top of that, you always have the chance that your probation officer could inspect your house or your home or your apartment. They basically have the legal right to come in and search your place whenever they want. And if, once again, you break any of the rules, they will put you back in jail. They could also have court mandated treatment in some sort of psychological hospital or rehab facility if there's some sort of drug involved. Now, there are, of course, other sanctions. For example, you could have to pay a fine, community service, restitution, forfeiture, the fact that you could lose all your possessions related to that criminal activity. Those are all certainly things that could happen that are not necessarily prison or jail. And lastly, in the next video, we're going to dive into different types of prisons and jails.